I think retiring is a terrible word. I'll never retire because I'm not the retiring type. My personality doesn't fit that. Just to do other things. But now that after I thought about it, after I reflected, is I'm going to stay until his contract ends and see it through. I want to win the championship. It's a big goal of ours. We want to get back to another Final Four. And in order to do that, you've got to have the attitude that we have now, and then you've got to have very good talent in order to do that. You're not going to win a championship without that. And sometimes, you know, last year I think it all remains for us to see. Was last year a fluke with Butler playing Connecticut? Well, they had one dominating player and a lot of very good basketball players, but Connecticut really didn't have a great inside attack last year. And I almost made this statement on the air last year. I'm glad I didn't, because I would have looked extremely foolish. I almost said that if there's one team out there that probably will not advance very far, it would be Connecticut, because they had to just go through 5 games, grueling 5 games in the Big East. And if one team was mentally or physically tight, it would be them. And if they were not in the Big, if that would have been the Atlantic Coast Conference or the SEC, I would have made the comment. I didn't want to make it because they were in the Big East. But that just goes to show you, with one dominating guard and young freshmen coming along, anything can happen in a game. And they win a lot of close games because of that one dominating guard. Butler, after playing them, that surprised me. You know, them getting that far. I think it surprised all of you as well. So it's, is that a fluke, or is that going to be the norm every year?
But after going through, because the meat grinder that the Big East was last year, I mean, every game seemed like came down to the last possession or close to it. Now, is there a sense that your batteries are recharging? It's like the beginning of the season. It's the feeling you get at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I think we've got to be ready for a meat grinder more so than ever before, because we're going to play 6 games against top 10 competition, and it's going to be early in the season. I mean, we're going to play probably the number 1 ranked team, the number 5 ranked team, the number 6 ranked team twice, the number 9 ranked team twice, and I didn't even expect Connecticut to be ranked. I don't know if Dick is close to the polls, if that's just his, I don't know how close he is to the polls, but you know, Connecticut's going to be ranked very high, and we're going to play them as well. So we're going to play, we figured out the other day, probably 13 games against top 20 competition, and that's a lot. And that's a meet, and that's not taking into consideration whether Marquette's ranked. We know they should be ranked. We believe it as coaches that they should be ranked. I'm not sure if they are. Yeah. So we know they're going. So the Big East will be very, very difficult, very tough next year. But we made it even tougher on ourselves because of our schedule.
Just to clarify, Rick, are you saying, you said you stay to the contract ends, are you saying you'll look for another challenge and be gone after?
No, what I'm saying is I don't think I'm the type of guy to go retire and just sit around and do nothing, you know, like writers do. I want to do something. That's why I'm starting the blog and starting writing. I'm trying to get my skills to take your place someday.
What was it like trying to get a word in edgewise with Barkley and Kingston?
It's tough, Rick, when you have 5 guys, any 5 guys. Charles, it's actually very easy to do. Greg Anthony is a big basketball junkie. I actually asked him when I was so impressed by him, I actually tried to talk to him, see if he wanted to get into coaching. And he just said, he just, right away, Coach, I'd love to, but I just could not afford that type of pay cut. He's very honest about it. But I was really impressed with him. Charles is Charles. He's extremely glib, and you can understand why people like him so much, because he'll say anything. He's so glib. And Kenny is like Greg, only more so toward professional basketball. He really understands the pro game very much. And it's just that you wait a long time. ESPN, you're just moving it. They call it a car wash. You're just going from one thing to the next, and you're always talking. You're always in. And when you're doing the CBS thing, you wait a long period of time for a very short duration. So it was fun. Both very different, but it was fun.
Will you be overseeing any of the cheerleading trials this year and talking to those guys about what to do and not to do this year?
No, I think I'll stay put with what I do. But you know, it's funny you say that. It's amazing when you realize, when that incident came up, you realize I've never seen the dance team perform one act. I've never seen the cheerleaders perform one act. I've been here 10 years right now, and I've never seen them perform one act. But you realize they've been number one in the country, they've been the number one dance team in the country, and all those years, and I've never seen it. So the only thing I've ever seen in 10 years I've been here was a cheerleader bouncing a ball, getting some technical. So, and I hope I don't have to cross paths again with that famous person.
Anything else? We got 3 weeks before football. Do you get out to the Louisville football games?
I do. I make every game.
Do you?
I do. I'm a big football fan.
Great.
And, I'm hoping, I know we're going to have one of the premier football programs in the country in another year. But it's going to take that because they're very young. But Charlie Strong will recruit better than we've seen in a long, long time. He will bring in great players here that will be disciplined. And I look forward to seeing that day. And I don't think it's going to happen this year because they're very young and very inexperienced. But watch out the following year.
Dick Vitale just met the Pope.
He did, huh? Oh, that poor... We love the Pope. Can you imagine the Pope's eyes? What did that man just say?
With the NBA lockout, are there any former players who could be around the program, could be helpful for the guys to be around them, I don't know if they can...
I think the lockout's going to be long. It's going to be long. It would not surprise me to see that I was involved in the last one that happened because, remember, you're so far away. In football, we talked about this last time there, they just had to get it, how they were going to share an incredible amount of money, $9 billion worth of wealth. This is, I don't believe that the owners are cooking the books and whether they put certain things in there or not, but you're talking about 80% of the teams losing money. And what the NBA is going to have to, a lot of people believe, as I've said, that it's good for the NBA to have a soft cap. It's good for that because you want Boston, you want LA, you want New York, you want Chicago to be at the top. And what happens in football is not good for basketball. A lot of people believe that. I'm not one of those people, but a lot of people do believe that. So they're far apart, very far apart. And the first thing that they're going to address is not revenue sharing. The first thing they address is salaries. The salaries, according to the owners, have to come way down.
We're told that's... Earl's got a game this week, I don't know if you know anything about it, but those guys are going to be, are they in town?
They are. A lot of the guys are in town.
Is there anything they can do to...
I'm not allowed to talk about that NCAA-wise, correct, Kenny? I'm not allowed to talk about that.
We're told that NBA lockout has stalled yet another attempt to bring NBA basketball here to Louisville. What are your thoughts about that possibility?
I would love to see them in Freedom Hall, I really would. I would love to see a pro team in this town at Freedom Hall. I really would, and I don't mean that. You see, the reason it can't be at the KFC Yum, which fits much better than Freedom Hall, is we have first rights to the schedule along with our women. So their schedule comes out way before us. So it just doesn't work. It's a logistical nightmare. That's why it doesn't work. I would love to see a pro team come to Freedom Hall. I really would. And but it's not going to happen anytime soon because you have to put $100 million into that building, and very difficult.
Coach, in speaking of recruiting at NCAA and stuff like that, but Mike Slav, the SEC commissioner, and all the other commissioners as well, they talked about a reset button with a number of different things at NCAA and moving forward with technology and Twitter and Facebook and you blog now, which you probably never thought you were going to do when you were coaching. Do you think that we should be moving forward in Twitter and Facebook in terms of recruiting as well, that you can reach out and talk and text and the way that the kids now...
No question. Look, I'm not a big fan of Twitter. Never have, never. I think it hurts athletes. I think it hurts teams. I think it helps you guys. Twitter is great for you guys in the media. Great. I mean, it gets your message out of what you want. It's great for certain, for movie stars. It's great. I think Twitter is bad for athletes, in my opinion, who are part of a team. That being said, I think we should be allowed to text. That's the most ridiculous thing, to take that thing away, because they were looking at it's too expensive. Well, that's all they do today is text. So it's for us to communicate in recruiting it's a great, that needs to be changed. They should allow texting between coaches and recruits and everything else. That should be totally open. I think they should take away the period in July somewhat, because these athletes are drained. It's worse than an NBA schedule. They are drained. They're coming back from Las Vegas to Orlando. They got nothing left. They don't look good on the court because of it. They should open up some time in April, open up some time in July. So yes, I think everybody needs to get with it, including me, and that's why I started writing a blog.
Anything else for
You,
coaches?
real quick, do you hope to find a go-to guy this year?
A go-to guy? You didn't think we had one last year? I hope so. I hope it's, I don't, I don't think it's an individual, though. I think you can stop. Kemba Walker is a go-to guy, and it's an unusual guy. I mean, we won a championship without a go-to guy. I would not insult Tony Delk by saying it was Antoine. I would not insult somebody, but, we didn't have it. We had a team, and I think great teams. Kemba Walker was a go-to guy. He won a championship. But Butler could have won that game, and they really didn't have a go-to guy. So we'll work on that. Thank you.